this is Reverend Don Lewis, and welcome to another episode of Living the Wiccan Life. Today, our guest is Lydia Crabtree of Family Wiccan Tradition International. I hope that you enjoy this interview.
My name is Lydia Crabtree. I'm with Family Wiccan Traditions International, and I'm also an author with LWL Press.
And would you care to talk about the Family Wiccan Tradition International a little bit?
Sure. Family Wiccan Traditions International was a website first, and it came out of a series of writings that I had done that my husband read and felt like the world should know about. So he bought the website, and in the South, where I come from, when you say family traditions, you actually are talking about a country western song, and it really wasn't going down what we do in Wicca. So we put in Family Wiccan Traditions to indicate the legally referred to term in the United States to explain what earth-based religion is. So that's kind of how the name came about. And we had the site up for a year and a half or so before people started calling and asking how they could join, and my husband and I were like, are you serious? So that's how the tradition came about. And now we have a board of directors, and we have members all over the United States and Canada and a few in Great Britain, and it's just kind of taken off. It's something that seems to resonate with people. The writings that initially founded FWTI resonate with people very well. So it's kind of where it came from. And now we call ourselves a tradition of traditions. What we do is we encourage family units to practice craft together, or any spiritual path together.
That's wonderful.
So we have people, and this is no lie, we actually have family covens who are, a mother is the Russian Orthodox and the father is traditional Wicca, going through a Gardnerian circle, and they teach their child both of their religions. And that really is the epitome of what FWTI is about. In my own home, I'm a Celtic witch through and through. My husband is shaman, American shaman through and through, and my son is Nordic. And we kind of just, figure out how we're going to blend that and promote that within each one of us and go for it. And that's really what we do. We really try to bring these different styles of spirituality together for families and give people tools to do it. That's actually exactly what my book is about. My book is called Family Coven, and it's about how to develop your own family spirituality.
What brought you to this particular spirituality, if you would like to talk about it?
What brought me to the spirituality, I have a very traditional background in Wicca and in religion. I was raised a Southern Baptist, and then I left Southern Baptist and actually studied Catholicism for several years and stopped when the priest asked me to get baptized. I'd taken that charade far enough. And then I went into Wicca and studied very traditional Wicca and in several different groups. And the problem I found, the problem I experienced, and the problem I hear mirrored back to me quite often is that when you interact with an outside group, you are putting your energy into that group, which is great until you go home. Mm-hmm. And your energy is also required there. And there seemed to be, I saw this a lot, a division of energy within a family unit, because you had one person maybe in this group, and then you had maybe even the adult in another group, another adult in another group. And in some cases you might have many different paths, right, depending on the number of partners or what their spiritual leanings are. And then you add children's spirituality kind of got shoved to the side because the adults are all encompassed in what they're doing. And there was this energetic rift between these families when they came together, and it was something my husband and I kept experiencing. I would study. He likes to say I'm the bookworm, and he's the practitioner, and so we kind of have these two different ways. So I would go study. He'd be practicing, and our son would just kind of be out there, And it really caused this division. And so after my last jaunt into a very traditional group, I decided that I was going to take a break from being within the greater community. And during that time, my son and my husband and I began to practice together. And as we did, I was like, dude, this is it. This is what's missing. I still love to go to open events, and I still love to visit with covens, but I have a coven. I wake up with them, I eat with them, I sleep with them. I send them to school and send them to work, and they come home and ask me what I've done in my day. That's my coven. And when that came to me, that was how Family Coven, the term, came about. And I think it's a resource that neo-paganism in general has been overlooking. I like to say that we had coven, then Cunningham brought us solitaries, and I hope to bring family coven as the natural evolution, if you will, of group spirituality.
What do you find is the greatest challenge in that?
The greatest challenge is an idea that there is adult spirituality and there's child spirituality, and never the twain shall meet. That's the biggest challenge. When you talk about spirituality, the thing you should impress upon people is that spirit is in each of us. A small portion, I can bring a small portion, my son can bring a portion, and my husband can bring a portion. Anybody else that comes along can bring a portion. It is the unique blending of those portions that brings us a divine experience unlike any other. When you talk about the laws of magic, then you get into talking about how contagion and knowing someone's name, spiritual and other, all of those things kind of bring a power to them. Well, when you live with a family unit, the laws of magic are exponentially exposed because you are exposed to each other more, you're exposed to each other's magic more, you eat with them, you sleep with them, and because of that it develops a basis, a foundation that is unlike anything else. So convincing parents they can have that becomes the challenge. Convincing partners that they can have that if they have no children becomes a challenge. We live especially in Wicca, everybody likes to say, we're a religion of individuals. Well, yeah, that's romantic, I guess, if you want to be a lone wolf, but I'd rather run with a pack. And telling people, the first pack you should run with is the ones you love the most, the ones you're closest to, the ones you spend the most time with. That's where your spiritual cornerstone is. And there's a lot of talk about that in neo-paganism today. You can go out to Pantheon today, and ancestral this, and ancestral that, and ancestry. Well, you're living with the future ancestry today. And so for me, it's not so much about the ancestry that I brought, it's more about the ancestry that will be left behind by my imprint on this earth, by my husband's imprint, by the imprint we had together, by the imprint of my son. And that's, what I try to explain to people, that it's not just about family, it's about ancestry, it's about legacy. We call it the legacy of magic.
Well, people forget their family is not only the people around them now who are their family, it's the ones who came before, and also very much the ones who are going to come after.
That's right.
And very often people don't think about what's coming after. So I think this is really important work.
Right. They spend a lot of time looking back, and which is fine. I think that when you have a child, and I think the people I've talked to and interviewed and researched with, I think they understand when they see that baby for the first time. They go, oh, I'm going to live on. Okay. Whether it's through adoption or not, the person, that child, is going to live beyond you and remember you. And then they start thinking, well, what is legacy? Which is what I think, when I talk about the evolution of family coven, that's actually what I think has been born out of. People who get together, and even if you're just in a partnership, regardless of the number or gender of partners you end up with, when you look at each other, you think, oh, I see my future. You don't see your past, you see your future. You see sitting in rocking chairs. You see, owning that homestead. You see those things. That's all in your future. That's what love brings. And that's one of the things we try to encourage in FWTI, and I personally try to encourage in my work.
Well, if people would like to learn more about your work, where would you send them?
I would send them first and foremost to the original website, which is still up and running, familywiccantradition.org. And we also have developed a community website. We found a need for family covens to interact with each other and share their experiences in blending paths. And so we set up a special place for that called familywiccancommunity.com. And you can go there. It's a forum site that you can get onto and interact with other people. We have lots of resources for teaching children and for teaching adults. They're all on that website. And then if you want to learn more about where I'm going to be and what I'm doing, you can go to lydiacrabtree.com. All of those places are where I am, and you can read some of my excerpts of my upcoming book on lydiacrabtree.com.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You have a wonderful weekend.
You too.
I hope that you enjoyed this episode of Living the Wiccan Life, and that you'll join us again for our next episode. Until then, may you blessed be. This October, the world of pagan voices comes together in one global gathering, the Pagan World Congress. 5 days, over 100 hours, speakers, rituals, music, and town halls streamed across the world. Join the conversation, shape the future, be part of history. The Pagan World Congress, October 9th through 13th, 2025. Online at paganworld.co.